I remember the day I first stepped foot inside Harrow Church. It was a chilly autumn evening, and I had been tasked with photographing the magnificent architecture of the church for a local newspaper. As an amateur photographer, I was thrilled at the opportunity to capture the beauty of this historic building. As I entered the church, I was struck by the stillness and quietness that surrounded me. The only sounds were the creaking of the old wooden pews and the occasional gust of wind that would howl through the cracks in the walls. Despite the eerie atmosphere, I focused on my task at hand and began photographing the intricate stained glass windows and the ornate ceiling. But as the sun began to set and the light started to fade, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. I brushed it off as my imagination running wild and continued with my work. It wasn't until I heard the faint sound of music that I started to feel uneasy. Thinking it was perhaps just my imagination once again, I ignored it and continued taking photos. But the music grew louder and more distinct with each passing moment. Curiosity getting the best of me, I followed the sound to the far end of the church where I stumbled upon an old organ. Its keys were moving on their own, as if someone was playing them. I took a step back in shock, but to my bewilderment, the music continued to play. I quickly snapped a photo of the organ, thinking it would make for an interesting shot and a great story to tell. But as soon as the flash of my camera went off, the music stopped and the keys fell silent. Shaken but determined to finish my assignment, I made my way back to the entrance of the church. But my heart nearly stopped when I saw a figure standing at the top of the stairs leading down to the main hall. It was a woman in a white dress, her long hair covering her face. I couldn't make out any features, but I could feel her staring at me. Fearing for my safety, I turned and ran out of the church, not looking back until I was safely in my car. I couldn't explain what had just happened, but I knew that I never wanted to step foot inside that church again. Days went by and I couldn't stop thinking about the strange events at Harrow Church. As a journalist, I couldn't resist the urge to investigate and find an explanation for what had happened. I returned to the church during daylight hours, hoping that perhaps it was all just a trick of the light and my mind playing tricks on me. But as soon as I walked into the church, I could feel a heavy presence around me. The air felt dense and suffocating, and I could hear whispers and murmurs all around me. I quickly took a few photos and left as fast as I could, not wanting to stay in the church any longer than necessary. As I reviewed the photos I had taken, I couldn't believe my eyes. In every single one, there was a faint white figure of a woman standing near the organ. Even though I couldn't see her face, I knew deep down that it was the same woman I had seen on my first visit. Determined to uncover the truth, I did some research on the history of Harrow Church. It didn't take long for me to come across a tragic story that sent chills down my spine. It was said that a young woman named Lily had been an organist of the church, and one night, she had died suddenly while playing the organ. Her death was a complete mystery, but some believed that she had been cursed by the church for playing haunting hymns. My heart sank as I realized that Lily's spirit was still trapped in the church, unable to move on. Her music, forever etched into the walls of the church, was her way of reaching out to the living. And I had unknowingly disturbed her final resting place by taking that photograph. From that day on, I chose to stay away from Harrow Church. The haunting hymns of Lily and the chilling presence of her ghost were enough to keep me away for good. I learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes, the most beautiful of places can hold the darkest secrets.